Hey, I'm Maurice Benard, and this is State of Mind. If you like what you see, hit the little button right there and subscribe. Thank you. This Sunday on State of Mind, we have a person who's not only, let me just tell you how good looking he is, okay? No, I have to say this because my mom, I think it makes my dad jealous. I swear, I'm not joking.
Oh, man.
My mom is so in love with Donnell, and I know that sometimes she'll say something, and my dad, I can hear him like, But anyway, he's not only good looking, he's a damn good actor, and he's on General Hospital playing Curtis, and he's with me, and I'm very happy that he is. He's a real nice guy, he's a friend. Hi, Donnell.
How you doing, Maurice? Thank you, man, for having me here.
Hey, thank you for being here.
Thank you for that introduction. Thank you to your mom. Sorry to your dad. I love you both. Thank you, man.
Hey,
Feels good to be here.
No problem. So, you grew up in Tacoma, Washington.
I was born in Tacoma. Never lived there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, mom went there to have me, but she resided before I was born in Chicago. So I started off life in Chicago.
Oh, how was Chicago?
From what I remember, it was busy. It was everything. It was, I remember sirens. My memory is the sound of sirens, and but yet it had its own sort of 70s authenticity to it. So we used to go watch Bruce Lee movies.
That's what I did.
Yeah, I used to love that, and I remember the outfits of the 70s. My mom had 2 kids, and she'd be walking us to the movie theater, and there were the pimps outside, hey mama, and they had the big hat with the brim and the feather and the bell bottoms. I remember all of that. So my memory of the 70s is a nostalgic one that was Chicago for me. It was everything. If I one day get to make a movie, I would be sure to capture what my memory of Chicago in the 70s was like.
I've been to Chicago. It was cold. I think it was
very cold.
Right?
Different level cold.
Yeah. And I'm not big on cold, but that's
nor am I.
That's why I was born in California and still live here. How were your parents, man? How were you raised, man? I want to hear that.
Yeah. I'm one of the lucky ones, man. I had a good, strong, praying mother. And so mom didn't, she's a Chicago girl, so she didn't take a lot of stuff. And so she's a very educated woman, made sure we spoke a certain way, and she didn't settle for less. So we couldn't say ax, we had to say ask, because that's the way it's spelled, that's the way it reads. And mom didn't settle for less.
And where was dad? And
dad was a truck driver. My biological father was a truck driver, so he was always on the road. A giant man in stature, 6'6". Incredible athlete, very handsome. He came to one of my plays, and all the women started looking at my dad. So,
really?
Yeah, dad was the one. And then they separated. We moved to California, Northern California, a little further north than
Redding.
And Redding, dirt road. So I went from the concrete of Chicago, where I heard sirens all the time, to a dirt road where we were the only black kids in school.
And well, first of all, how was your father leaving? How did that affect you in any way?
Well, my earliest memories of my dad weren't the best. And so my mom, being the strong woman she was, she grabbed her 2 kids and she fled an abusive situation.
Wow.
Yeah, so literally my dad passed out one day, and mom had the bags packed under the bed, grabbed her 2 kids, and we drove across the country. And we bonded.
How old were you?
I was 6, 5 or 6. And I know that was the time for my brother and my mom and I to really bond. Just, not really aware of the situation. Just knew dad was big and scary.
6'6".
Yeah. And mom was brave. And so I sort of adopted my mother's courage and bravery and pursuing whatever it was that I wanted to pursue. Mom was a great example of what bravery and courage looks like.
I'm already feeling really emotional right now, and I don't know why. And this is going to be a tough one. I can just feel it. I don't think I've ever felt this emotional in a state of mind yet. So Reading, my brother-in-law John, he lives in Reading, or did live in Reading. I don't know. He goes all over the place. He's lived with us for a while. But Reading is beautiful. No?
It can be.
There's water there, the lake, or
there's Shasta, Whiskeytown Lake, Mount Shasta. Did a lot of fishing. So Reading has red dirt, but that's not the name. That's not where the name comes from. Pearson B. Reading, but it was red clay. Wow. It was weird versus brown dirt. So I found that interesting. So coming from Chicago, I thought all of California looked like this. I thought, where are we? This is crazy. The dirt road was interesting. The school being the only black kids. Knowing that there was still active KKK in the neighboring towns of Red Bluff and Cottonwood, and hearing the stories, the graphic stories that maybe a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old shouldn't hear, but my mom, being from Chicago, never held anything from us. She never sugarcoated anything. So when a young black kid was found dangling from a flagpole on top of the mall, we learned about it. Mom talked to us, and we sat down and we had a family discussion about it.
Dang.
Imagine that at 10, processing that. My cousin, mom, let me not get ahead of myself. My mom met an electrical engineer who had just lost his wife. He had 3 kids, and he was a minister. And my mom was new in town with 2 boys, living with her mother who had lived in Reading. And they met, they dated, and they got together. So now we're 5 kids, so we were like the Black Brady Bunch. And dad had a great job, and mom was ambitious. She became the first black business owner, black female business owner in Redding, California. And so we moved up to the houses on the hill, and we were the only black family up on the hill.
Really?
Yeah, and it was really great because then the show came out called The Cosby Show.
Oh yeah.
And I really related to The Cosby Show. That was my family.
So when you went to school, did you ever see racism or anything like that?
Well, Mom, being from Chicago, always cautioned us about what she experienced in the civil rights, post-civil rights era, and just be careful, be careful, be careful. And we could never go in the kids' houses. So we knock on the door to go outside and play, and they'd say, "Come in." My brother and I would just look at each other and wait, ring the doorbell again, "Come in." And we just stand there until they come out. I'm like, "No, let's just go outside." And things like that. And conversely, no one could come in our house either. So it was just that. It was be friends, be careful, because you guys are the only ones out here that look like you. So if something comes stolen or broken, you will be first to blame. So don't even put yourself in that situation.
I mean, can you imagine having to, now we're talking about it like that, but it's funny because I hear about it on TV a lot and everything, and racism and with Black Lives Matter and everything, and you get a certain sympathy and compassion. But when I hear somebody in front of me talking about it, because you don't really talk about it much.
No. The editor of Essence magazine has a great quote. It says, "We should be defined or define ourselves by the best that's in us and not by the worst that's happened to us."
Yeah. Yes.
And so I could go on and on about what's happened that I didn't like, but I choose to live in the good.
Yes.
And there's a saying that your direction is better than your location. So no matter where you are, you can change that direction.
Or your journey is better than your destination.
Sure. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so racism in Reading, actually, I didn't experience it overtly. No one to my face. We didn't go to school and get stuff thrown at us. Everybody was interested in knowing us. I think where I come from, a place of understanding today, is from my experiences in Reading. Mm-hmm. It wasn't blatant racism as much as it was ignorance. And I would get questions like, why we wore afros then. Why is your hair curly? Do you curl it every night? You know, well, no, I don't curl my hair with little millions of rollers to make it curly.
Right.
You know, why are you black on this side but white on this side? You know, I don't know how to answer those questions. Why do you run and jump so fast and high? You know?
Yeah.
And so I didn't take that as racism as much as it was just they had never been around anyone like us. So this was my opportunity, even at an early age, to educate.
Yeah, wow.
And I could have gone the other way and went into a shell and felt inferior, which did happen for a little while because I couldn't relate. I couldn't, you know, do my hair the way the kids were doing theirs, or I didn't have discussions about going skiing on the weekend. You know, I didn't know what that, you know. And so it's enough to make you feel depressed.
Yeah.
It's enough to make you feel inferior.
Right.
And if I did not have the strong parents that I had and my siblings, my brother was staunchly aware and conscious.
Older, younger?
Older. I'm the baby. And I would have got lost in it all. I'm sure of it.
You were you played basketball too?
Yes, sir.
You were semi-pro?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
How'd that work, man?
That was amazing because it was one of those things that God blessed the Turner brothers with hops. We could jump out of the gym. Always could. I was dunking in 8th grade. My brother was dunking.
You were dunking in 8th?
My brother was dunking in 7th. So, and his calves just massive. And so we had that. We were fast. And then my parents, whatever we did, we could say, Mom, Dad, we want to be professional fencing experts. You know, we want to do fencing. They would have given their energy to us and supported us. Just like me saying I wanted to be an actor. I never got any backlash.
Never.
Parents were always, all right, but if you're going to do it, go all out. And they were there for us. And I think everyone needs that kind of support, especially from your parents.
Oh, yeah.
And so with basketball, they just made sure we went to the best camps. I went to Reggie Theus, ex-NBA player for the Sacramento Kings. I went to his camp. Magic Johnson, we went a couple years. So we were always at the best camp. So I learned how to shoot from Jerry West.
No.
Yeah. That's why you can't outshoot me. To this day.
Really?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So you did that, and why did you not go further, or wasn't?
I learned in my basketball journey something that I'll carry with me in my next pursuit, my next journey. I squandered my potential. I knew I had God-given talent, and so I didn't practice as hard as I should have. I knew that I could go in mildly stretch and and beat most people. And then when I got to the semi-pro level, that wasn't the case. Now everyone is special, and all the more the professional ranks. And then I got intimidated, and that was enough to make you go into that shell, that aforementioned shell of depression and self-doubt. Before that happened, and then I started to see the politics at the higher level. Before that happened, I ruptured my Achilles tendon. And I feel like that was the universe's way of saying, new choice. You squandered that. So I was about 26, which is a little bit late in the game for sports to be trying to continue, 27. And then I ruptured my Achilles, and it was like the end of my hoop dreams.
That's where acting happened?
I always had acting in the periphery, but it just seemed so embarrassing. It's like telling someone you want to be president or an astronaut. You know, get ready to see them laugh. Get ready to hear the dissuasion. So, I kind of kept it inside, and I just thought, okay, I'll just play basketball and then transition into acting. You know, Dr. J did that years ago.
Yeah,
he had a movie in the 70s called A Fish That Saves Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
And so I thought, that'll be my route.
And what's his name? Kylie Irving?
Kyrie.
Yeah, he did a movie, and he was great.
Was he? That guy's a natural talent, man. He's sharper than people think.
He was the whole movie was actually pretty good. I went with my son, and we kind of dug it. But going back to what you said about kind of keeping it in. Mm-hmm. I've been talking to my friend Maj, and I have a tendency to want everybody to feel as excited as I am. And if they're not, I tend to get disappointed, or my expectations get messed up. So especially when I was 21, when I got into modeling, and I was just too short, and I always I always tell the story that, I was too short, but I did it, right? But I wasn't successful. But I would talk about it a lot. So everybody in my hometown was like, okay. And then I got into acting. And they're like, yeah, right, he's going to be an actor. I felt it.
Right.
I felt it. And you kind of, and then I had a nervous breakdown when I was in a mental hospital. And so then my, friends or whatever, or not friends, they all thought, he's done. And I was done, but I wasn't done. And I just kept going. But I know that feeling of you're like an alien.
Yeah, and I think there's a certain trait within you, within myself, and people like us that, and I don't want to speak for you, but when you feel like all odds are against you, I'm not one to just fold up. When I feel like the world is against me, I have a tendency, I'm a fighter. So
yeah.
I fight back.
Yeah.
And so the more people tell me, and I remember hearing this when I was planning to move to LA. Oh, you're going to LA? Oh, you're going to be an actor. Oh, well, that's a 98% unemployment rate.
Yeah.
And I would say, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's even less than that for black actors,
Right.
And I'd say, okay. So if we were the type of people to fold early in life, we wouldn't be where we are.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you live in LA, you're not going to have that as much because so many people are doing it in LA.
Right.
But I was from a small town, and they're just like, yeah, right. And I do miss. I wish I can, see my old friends and stuff, but it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But your brother was in an R&B band.
Yeah.
I want to hear that, man, because I love soul music.
Yeah, man, that dude is just one of those people touched, man. We already talked about how he could jump, and his nickname was Flight, and people thought all he could do was play basketball. But meanwhile, the guy was playing the piano for our church choir, self-taught. He didn't even play the chords the right way. He used his first 3 fingers. He was playing like this, and could just, make it sound good for it.
Like my son, he's
self-taught, yeah. I took guitar lessons. I tell this story all the time. I took guitar lessons, and I was struggling. I couldn't manage the strings here with the strings here. I didn't know which one I was. Am I hitting the same one? And he was watching me for about 5 minutes, and he was frustrated. No, do this. No, just. And he takes my guitar, and we're kids, and he's probably in 6th grade at this time, and he just starts playing.
That's right. Yeah.
So I've never touched a guitar since.
Wow.
And he's that guy. He sings, he can arrange harmony, the guy, he's a songwriter, instruments. I said, yo, I'm playing the harmonica, and he's like, oh yeah, I play that. So he plays that as well, he's played on stage. The guy was on American Bandstand, the American Music Awards.
Yeah, I love American Bandstand.
Right?
I used to watch it all the time.
Yeah. They shot that at Prospect Studios.
Oh, they did?
American Bandstand was shot where we shoot GH.
Oh, boy.
Isn't that amazing?
Every Saturday I used to watch.
Yeah, that was fun. And then, of course, the black equivalent was Soul Train.
Soul Train. I love Soul Train, too.
And Soul Train...
that's big.
For us, that was big. From being in Chicago watching it, I didn't even know they shot it in L.A.
That's amazing.
So he blew up big, and then MC Hammer was his manager.
Wow.
So I've been at Ham's house many times. I got to be in 2 of his videos as well. I'm in my brother's video. It was my first on-camera anything. I thought my career was about to take off. It didn't. But it was a lot of fun rolling with my brother. He was a rock star for about a year.
You can't touch this.
Yeah, oh God, Ham. So Hammer is the reason why my brother is the reason why Hammer is, well, let me rephrase this. MC Hammer was not all the way scrupulous with the contracts.
Oh.
So my brother and them froze his assets, and then he filed bankruptcy, and then the rest is history.
Wow, I heard about all that.
So he just never paid them. My brother's worth $38 million that you just wonder, it's been like 25 years, will he ever get?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that too can make you inward and depressed.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about, I got 2 things I want to talk to you about.
Sure, man.
Let's talk about GH. We talk quite a lot. And you and Brianna did a scene once that really was just great. I couldn't take my eyes off you guys. And I remember telling you, and I think I told her or whatever, because that's what I do. If I see something like that, I'm like, I get all excited. There's my, I got to tell the world,
Sure,
but it's a beautiful thing to see African Americans on General Hospital, because it wasn't like this. I've been on 28 years almost now, and this is what they should have done a long time ago. It's great to watch, and a lot of African Americans watch General Hospital.
According to the statistics that I've read, our demographic is typically women 59 and up, typically
Yes.
African American.
Yes.
I am grateful to be on the canvas.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to help color the canvas a little bit. I think there was a noticeable void, and the fact that GH is at least taking the steps to make the show reflect America as a whole, I think
Smart.
we should
Very
give them their
smart.
flowers now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased to be, I don't know if I'm spearheading or just in the mix, but I'm pleased
It's
to
great. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. Now this is a mental health channel, so I want to get into some stuff with you about anxiety and depression, and I know your dad passed away, and how was that, and how difficult, and whatever you want to talk about.
It wasn't a surprise. So he abused cigarettes. And I mean, yeah, there's smoking, but then there's abusing, like, since he was 12.
Jeez.
From North Carolina, it was take these cigarettes and go milk the cows and go, bale the hay. And nobody thought anything other. From, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and that's just what they did back then. And then he was unapologetic until, I think, his first heart attack at 45. So he had been in the hospital for a while. We knew it was coming. Dad was at peace. So he had his grands and his great grandkids around the bedside, and we all got to give him love. This was pre-COVID, so we could be there. So seeing him, we all had prayer, and he said, thank you, God, I'm at peace, and when you're ready to take me, I'm ready to go. And that comforted.
You were there, right there?
Yeah. Not when he passed,
No.
but when he at least prayed and said that. And that, I thought, wow, here he is, bedside with all his loved ones. Sister flew in from DC, and, wife, and my mom, his ex-wife, and grandkids and great-grandkids. I kind of think that is the way to go.
Yeah, this is the way to go, man.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
Everyone that's right there with you. So
But you were able to say bye.
I was able to say bye. I was
How was
able
that?
to.
Is that because I've had, I don't know if, but I was gonna say, have you read my book? But I've had like a lot of people die that I never said bye to anyone.
Man, that's an emptiness that I'm glad I don't have to feel in this case.
Wow.
I have missed relatives that I couldn't have those final moments with. But with my dad, I wanted to make peace about certain things as well, And he apologized.
Could he talk to you at that time?
He could.
Oh, so you guys were talking.
He was slow, but he was still talking.
Wow.
And my goal, he was so supportive of my career. When I got my contract on General Hospital, I had to do that before he passed. So for him to be in the hospital, to be able to watch me every day.
That's amazing.
Yeah, after 20 years of, hey, son, stick to it, stay with it. So to finally give him at least 4 years of me on the show.
Wow.
Where he could brag and tell all the nurses, that's my son, and I could go up there and make visits and sign stuff for the nurses and stuff. That was his last moment of being able to stick his chest out. So it made me feel good.
Sure.
And his passing, I'm glad he was at peace.
Yeah.
But my brother typically takes things harder. He deals with things differently.
Yes.
I can at some points compartmentalize. And sometimes I've noticed my brother with the inability to do the same. Even as kids, he would just start crying and think about death. We're gonna die. You know, those kind of things that I think most kids go through, but it would shake me up. But I would say, well then, you know, hey, we better live as good a life as we can until then.
Now, does your brother have any kind of mental illness or anything?
Well, he struggled with alcoholism, so I think he's about 450 days sober today.
Wow.
And you know, I remember he's tried to kill himself. I came home from school in 8th grade, and I went in the house, and he was sprawled out on the ground with pills everywhere.
No.
And so I had to call. That happened a couple times. He tells me to this day I saved his life twice. So to answer that question from a clinical perspective, I don't know, but just from the outside knowing what I know, I think there's some mental adjustments that he's dealing with, and being sober is a great step.
Oh, it's a great. You know, I say all the time, because I get responses from people, and I've dealt with people in my life that, and I just say it recently. I mean, I just went through, you know, we talked already. I went through something during this pandemic. I like to bring it up all the time because I want people to know that if you're having any thoughts of not being on this earth, get those thoughts out of your head and get help and keep going, because, you know, life, man, it's too short and life's beautiful. Now I knew I was gonna cry on this.
It's all right, man. Let it out.
But
it is beautiful.
You know,
can I just add to that?
Yeah.
My brother said something the other day. He was struggling, and then he said, "You know what? I had a struggle the other day, but I got through it. I got through it." And he's taking it day by day, as a lot of people battling sobriety do. And he said, "I just told myself, if I just do what I did yesterday, I can get through till tomorrow."
That's it. That's it.
That's heavy.
And I'm going to say something else, because, well, two things that I wanted to say. If you're doing drugs and alcohol and you're mentally ill, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
If I'll say this point blank, if I were drinking and doing drugs or one or the other, and having gone through what I did, I wouldn't be here. I would not be here. Probably years ago.
Right.
My wife, I'll say this again because it's very important. Every time I would go into her room, she would, you know, I'd be bawling like a baby and just telling her, I don't know if I can. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then one time she looked at me and she said, "Baby, 100% of the time you have said that. 100% of the time you've gone on."
That's it.
And that did help me. Mm-hmm. And I will say this also would help me, and I'm not joking. And I don't think I've said this before. I was thinking about the people I would let down, not doing State of Mind anymore, if I did something drastic, and how they would see it. Like, well, he did it, so maybe it's not worth it, you know, that type of thing.
Wow.
I just want to say, Donnell, this was, I got to tell you, I was, it's happened a few times here where I was talking to you and I was lost in something. And that's kind of like an energy. And I think that's why I wanted to talk to you on here, because we have that when we talk in the room. So I appreciate you doing this and opening up like you did. And thank you.
Maurice, thank you for this platform. I respect and I love what you're doing here. And anytime you need me back, man, I love our energy, man, and I respect you greatly. So anytime, I'm here for you.
Thank you, man.